I almost didn't get here, Richard. Very good morning to you.
I'm about to take over your show. Good morning.
Yeah, well, I knew I'd be in safe hands. I thought if I don't get here in time, you can just start on your own.
I mean, it's a bright and cheery day out there, and I suspect the temperature is not quite like the warm or hot temperature in the headquarters of Conservative Party High Command.
Because, can you imagine the Conservative Party central office is a very odd place to be at the moment?
Well, I suspect it's a pretty terrifying place to be because you don't know who's, frankly, attacking and stabbing each other in the back. It's just, I mean, there's complete civil war has descended upon the Conservative Party.
Right.
And, yeah, this psychodrama is continuing to play out. And I think the real thing is, as people have been calling in and people talking about, actually, could you focus on sorting out the challenges of the country?
Yeah.
Because we've never been in such dire straits. Wherever you look, the country is broken. It doesn't work. It needs massive, massive fixing. And all they're talking about is whether or not you can or can't complain about what some committee has written about some individual MP.
And it doesn't stop there, because on Monday they're going to reconvene and have a vote on whether Boris Johnson should be banned from the parliamentary estate. I mean,
apparently they've sort of allocated hours and hours of parliamentary time to debate this. Frankly, I don't think anybody wants parliamentary time wasted on this nonsense.
I'll tell you what I'd like parliamentary time spent on. I'd like parliamentary time spent on when are they going to get our cost of living down, when are they going to get inflation under control, when are they going to do something proper to stop the illegal migrants coming here by the hundreds every single day.
Absolutely right. And that just seems to be sort of second or third fiddle compared to this this drama of... and the real reality here is that the establishment and the Remainers, they are in the ascendancy, and they are trying to basically diss and remove anybody who gets in their way, who is involved in Brexit. And it's pretty brutal. You heard just on Jeremy Carl's show, Lord Heseltine gloating over this.
He loves it. He thinks that the demise of Boris Johnson is the demise of Brexit, doesn't he?
But what we're actually facing, if we're not very, very careful in Parliament, is the demise of free speech, because this Parliamentary Standards Committee, forget its report and everything, it's actually saying to all of the MPs, don't you dare, and I'll read it out to you because it's quite shocking, they're actually saying they will take action against any MPs engaging in formal or informal attack or undermining of its work. I mean, is this a free country with free speech or not?
Yeah.
If MPs disagree with the conclusions of any report by any committee, they should absolutely have the right to say so, for heaven's sake.
And it's certainly not a legal organisation, this Committee of Privileges. It's been set up by the MPs to police the MPs, and I get the point that you're supposed to then go along with whatever decision they may make. But it's not binding, it's not a legal decision, and quite frankly, the idea that they say that Boris Johnson should have a 90-day ban because he was rude about them is nonsensical, isn't it?
And the hypocrisy. Leaving aside, Boris's multiple failings and multiple mistakes, we all know that, we all accept that, whatever side of this debate you're on, the hypocrisy of having a chair of that committee who basically said that Boris was guilty before they even started this investigation.
Yeah.
But as bad or worse, one of the 7 members of this committee turned out to be actually engaging in a proper birthday party with lots of booze within the parliamentary estate during one of the lockdowns. You couldn't make this stuff up.
And as far as I know, he still hasn't denied that was the case, has he?
Because he can't, because it's clearly true. If it wasn't true, he would have denied it. His name is Bernard Jenkins.
Yes.
And so I just think that this whole thing, this is it's a party, the Conservative Party, that is just... It's in the stage of some form of collapse, meltdown. It's just sort of disappearing before our eyes, and it's actually very, very serious. Whichever way you vote, it's very serious, because what it does is lead to a complete erosion of trust in democracy, in what people say. Are they telling the truth or not? And therefore, is it worth bothering in the future, or actually is the whole thing a stitch-up?
And are you one of those who thinks that we're beginning to see, if not the end of the Conservative Party as we know it, the end of the sort of the parliamentary powerhouse that is the Conservative Party? Because it will inevitably now surely have to split, won't it, into something else?
Well, look, let's see, but I am obviously a massive fan of proportional representation, where actually there's no such thing as a wasted vote, where you'll get much higher turnout, much greater engagement. And guess what? Competition is a good thing. If you've got new parties with new people with good ideas that are the right way to run the country, then actually they can rise to the top. And if that means that other parties, such as the Conservative parties, wane and wither on the vine due to their own hopeless incompetence, well, so be it. That's called a democracy.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to work.
Let me bring you this additional point for a wrinkle. This was from Claire Fox last night. I spotted this on Twitter. She says, regardless about where you stand on Boris and misleading Parliament, there is something gnawing at me. Why is there no outrage at a whole range of COVID-related misleading statements at the time? Remember when we all discovered that vaccines helped individuals but didn't prevent transmission? Yet despite knowing facts on transmission, politicians on all sides supported sacking care home staff who refused to have vaccines, and jab or job enthusiasts misled the public by claiming it would protect others. So many examples made up of facts, a rule of 6, safe numbers at funerals, all the rest of it. And lots of examples where non-COVID harms associated with lockdown, the impact on children were denied, those raising issues were maligned, misleadingly branded as anti-science or worse. You know, there was an awful lot of misinformation. She's right.
And actually, she's used that critical word that Boris has been found guilty of misleading Parliament.
Yeah.
The truth is, many dozens of ministers and members of Parliament throughout the whole COVID lockdown crisis misled Parliament, misled the British public by talking utter garbage, tripe and nonsense about the benefits of lockdown, about the benefits of masks, and about the fact that the vaccines would stop transmission and infection.
And tried, let's not forget, to shut down anybody who would differ from that. And let's not forget Sir Keir Starmer's role in all of this, who continually didn't want lockdowns to be lifted, continually wanted schools to be kept closed because the unions told him to say that, and who continually pressed the Prime Minister and the government to have even harder lockdowns and punish people even more.
Correct. And so I think it is really important to put this in context. The reality is that everybody was misled by the nonsense that was spouted by the government and the opposition throughout much of the COVID crisis. But having taken all of that, frankly, the whole thing was a horror show. And we actually do need to focus on the future and to try and say, do you know what? With the right people running this country, governing this country, we can dig ourselves out of this mess and have some hope and have some vision and some optimism going forward. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and it is going to take change.
We've got some more breaking news coming in. It's one of those weeks.
One of those mornings.
You'll like this one. Kent and Sussex hosepipe ban announced from the 26th of June. A hosepipe and sprinkler ban is being imposed on people in Kent, and Sussex South East Water said it had no choice after demand for drinking water had reached record levels in June, similar to last year's drought. Some households in Kent and Sussex have been without water since Monday due to supply issues. Earlier this week, the water company urged people to only use water for essential purposes. It will impose the ban on hosepipes from the 26th of June.
Because we've all been naughty children and we're all drinking a little bit more water because we've been told to. Because
drink more water.
Drink more water.
Yeah.
It's good for us. You can't make it up. How can that lead to a shortage of water for a water company
I know.
on an island, for heaven's sake?
Let's think about water companies, and you've done some great work on these water companies, which are run by a whole cabal of foreign companies and all the rest of it, right? And Chinese investors and all that. And I had a guy actually got in touch with me on Monday from Tunbridge Wells. He said, I've got no water. I haven't had water for like the whole weekend because of some supply issue. How's there a supply issue?
It's on the one hand, you want to laugh, but you actually, much more seriously, you want to cry in despair at how we can be in this situation where one of the most fundamental basic utilities that we need, want and require, we're being told to restrict the supply of. I tell you, this is all to do with the garbage of net zero. It's all down to this stuff.
Absolutely.
The amount of time that is wasted, money that is blown and thrown away on this nonsense. Just focus on delivering some key issues like enough water, please.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Because, of course, when they haven't got enough water, they tell you not to use it. When they've got too much water, they pump sewage into the sea and into the river. I mean, is there anything they can actually do regarding water?
There's about 2 weeks of the year when they've got the right balance between it. This is just utterly unbelievable.
It's incredible. Now, let's get on to your favourite subject just before we break, and then we'll carry it over. But the Home Office is in trouble this morning.
The Home Office, well, yes, they absolutely are, because they've come out. There's been a national audit report into the performance, or should I say woeful lack of performance, of the Home Office. The good news is that they have indeed, as they promised, increased the number of caseworkers. They've increased it up to 1,350. But it turns out when you read the depths of the report that only 50% of them are actually able to make decisions. Only 1/10 of them, 1 in 10, are actually properly trained. And many of them, they're not able to make decisions, or they're absent. So,
and most of them are working from home, presumably.
Most of them are working from home. But they are making progress. They have increased their productivity rate, and wait for it, they are now able to deal with a stunning, amazing 2 cases per week.
Well, that's gone up. Well, that's gone up, hasn't it?
It has gone up.
It was only 1 before.
If you're the optimist, you'll say that's 100% improvement.
Yeah.
I want to deal with 2 cases every quarter of an hour, for heaven's sake.
Exactly.
Not per week.
Yeah, here's how you do it. Nope. 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 Nope.
Tea break.
Nope. 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 Nope.
I mean, it's not that difficult, is it? And apparently, it takes 6 months to train people to say no.
Yeah. Well,
we've just learnt it in about 5 seconds.
We could literally go down the Home Office after the show and get the backlog sorted by 6 o'clock.
Well, and so it's the. I mean, I despair, but we sort of want to try and retain some optimism, but it's really hard. They've now also accepted in this report that they are not going to meet their target of getting rid of the hotel's use, which they were hoping to do by the end of 2023. Because it turns out now that they were targeting to get rid of 500 hotel beds a week by the end of last October.
Right.
They're achieving the grand total of 1/10 of that, 48
what's the point of
per
setting
week.
a target if you pretty much know you can't hit it? There's no point in doing it, is there?
Well, no, I want to set ambitious targets that you then hit.
Yeah.
And actually, you pay people for outperformance. Give someone a bonus if they get more hotel beds to stop being used, or if actually they do a proper number of cases per week.
Haven't we just
That's how
found
it
out
works
this
in the
week
private sector?
that the whole business of illegal migration has cost the country something like 3.6 billion now?
Actually, I've been looking into the numbers, and I'm still looking at it. I'll be talking on the show on Sunday. It's way, way more than that. It's north of 7 or 8 billion a year in 2023 is where it's going to end up.
Wow.
It's absolutely off the scale. And
That
what they're
is
deliberately
ridiculous.
trying to do is they're deliberately trying to confuse and to conflate various numbers in order to distract from the truth. I mean, it's just shocking.
Incredible. Absolutely amazing.